Hey y'all, Bloodwing here, back to bring some grumpiness to your internet, and welcome back to Redneck Radio, the live stream, where today you get an extra healthy side helping of chocolate ice cream because I want some.
You're not the only one.
I love chocolate ice cream. That's my favorite. And vanilla's not bad either. My dad's a big vanilla person, but my favorite's chocolate. With me today, as you can see, is Maddie. Maddie's starting to become a regular guest.
Hello, I'm trying.
How you doing, Maddie?
I'm hanging in there. I'm hanging in there. How are you?
Oh, not bad. Like I told you, just feeling lazy. Not being lazy. I've been getting stuff done, but feeling lazy.
Yep.
Hey, hello, Ebony. Sheargrass, hi. People starting to just kind of trickle in here. Gulf City. Uh, I'm gonna miss somebody if I try to read everybody off that comes in, and then I'll have somebody mad at me. You didn't say my name.
Yeah, ranting monkey's doing his thing, so people may trickle in a little bit later.
Yeah, I knew he was streaming. I knew he
Mm.
was, and I sent him a link, in case he wanted to come on after he was done. But
I
he,
personally still think he needs an intervention, but that's just me.
yeah, well, like I've said before, Monkey gets a link to every stream. It's our agreement. If he can come on, he does. If he can't, then no hard feelings. But yeah, uh, just feeling lazy, but not really being lazy. Work like I told you guys, I've been working on episode 24 of Redneck Trek all morning. Got it not all the way done, but pretty done. Everything except the music, and I've
Yeah.
been hunting new music. Like I was telling you, I had about 40 songs that I rotated in and out. And I didn't like to use any one song too often, because people would get bored of it.
Yeah.
So I've got to the point where I've used every song in my library a few times, or at least once. So I've been on the hunt for the last couple of hours for new music, and my brain is about dead because even though YouTube's music library has some pretty good songs in there, their search function is really lacking. So it's a matter of scrolling through and listening to each song.
Yeah.
And yeah, my brain's a bit dead now, just a little bit dead. But we'll get there. But we will get there. Uh, might take a little nap before I go back to it after the stream. My search function is lacking. Yeah, well, my search for Sheargrass has never been the greatest. It's not one thing that I'm really good at. I can do it. I can usually find what I'm looking for, but it tends to take me a little longer than it does other people. I'll admit it. But drink a coffee there. So here we are. It's Saturday. Um, I think that I've got to stream Tuesday. Our schedule's kind of up in the air. You guys know I've told you that my manager's been off work with a back injury for a few weeks now, and so our schedule doesn't come out to the last second. And the only thing I know for sure is I work Monday. So I'll find out more when I go in Monday. But I think I've got to work Tuesday too. So this very well will be the last stream of the year, of the decade, in fact. Hello, Lindsay. Beth, number one. Here I go trying to name everybody. Ask Man Northland. And sorry if I've missed someone. Sorry. Um, so this is very likely the last stream of 2019 for me. So there's that. Ends of a decade always make me feel old, and here's why. I was born on a decade in 1960, so every decade means I've ticked off another 10 years,
Yeah.
and this is the sixth one for me. I've now seen 6 decades out. and I'm feeling old.
Oh yeah. I
So,
know I know how that is.
I mean, being born on the decade makes it easy for me to remember how old I am, because there's really no math to it. Because on years that end with a zero, I'm another 10 years old.
Yeah, my mom's the same way. She was born in 50. Yeah, because dad was born 46. So yeah. Um I remember when she hit her 60th birthday, I was working for Party City and I tried to be sneaky and have a whole bunch of stuff for an over the hill 60th birthday party sent to her. And I asked her for her friend's phone number. And she was, well, why do you need to talk to Cheryl? I went, well, she ordered some Tupperware for me and I'm just following up. And I heard her go, uh huh, okay. So which basically told me that that lie didn't work. But, so she gave me the phone number anyway. I told her friend what was up. She gave me the address. I mailed the stuff to her. And on her birthday, I got so busy I didn't call her. So she thought I forgot her birthday. So the next day, she called me to tell me that, that I had forgotten her birthday. I said, no, I had just gotten a little too busy and didn't call, but I knew it was your birthday because I know better than to forget when your birthday is because I don't want to be in trouble. And then that afternoon, she called back laughing. She goes, I should have known better. I turned the corner to go in Cheryl's backyard, and there's this over the hill 60th birthday party stuff that only came from you. Had to have. I went, yeah. Told you
Yeah.
not to doubt me.
I see people on Twitter talking about, well, it's my birthday and oh, I'm feeling so old. And I'll look to see how old they are, and they're like 26. Like, what?
Right.
What? But and you see people, oh, I'm turning 30, I'm getting old, or I'm turning 40, I'm getting old, and all that. None of my birthdays getting older never really bothered me. But there was one birthday, and it was my 40th. And it wasn't because I turned 40. 30 didn't bother me. I thought that was funny. I got 60 coming up in a couple of months, and I think that's hilarious. But 40, see, the thing is my mom and certain, and I've got an aunt, and at the time my grandmother was alive, they all, without fail, would call me on my birthday and sing happy birthday to me individually,
Mm.
no matter what year it was. And on my 40th birthday, and I believe it came on a Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, it got to be 6 o'clock in the evening, and no one had called me. Nobody had called me and wished me happy birthday or anything. Now, I'm not the kind of person, I don't need a lot of attention. I don't need gifts. I don't need that. But it is nice to get a happy birthday. Just
Yeah.
tell me happy birthday that you remember, and I'm good.
I'm the same way.
Uh, Nobody had called me by 6:30 in the evening, and I'm like, and it really started to depress me. I started,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I'm getting old, and everybody's forgot me. And
It's that time. I got my groceries coming. I just saw them past the window. Be back.
okay, but I'll finish the story while she's away. Hey, Pat, uh, come about 7 o'clock. My mother called and started singing happy birthday to me. And right after she called, my aunt called and sang happy birthday. And then right after her, my grandmother called and sang. Well, for whatever reason, there was something going on that day, and they were all delayed, and they hadn't forgot me. It just, was one of those things. It was just kind of pushed back into later in the day, but I started feeling really depressed. That was my only rough birthday that I recall, other than my 16th, where I got 4 stitches on my 16th birthday. But I think I've told that story on this stream before. And bled like a stuck pig. Hey, Batman. Kyler wanders in, sets herself down. Hey, have a seat, man. Welcome. But I'm glad to see people starting to pour in a little bit. But yeah, other than that, in most cases, having a birthday does not bother me. And I do, I get tickled at people Say, well, I'm turning 26. I'm getting old. Oh my God. I got socks older than you. That is not old. Lord have mercy. What are you going to do when you get my age? Uh, why don't you tell us about the time when you got bushwhacked by the hole in the wall gang? Yeah, well, I think I've told that story too many times. They're probably tired of it, Batman. No, it wasn't that, Shio. It wasn't that. I got 4 stitches during a birthday whipping on my 16th birthday. And I'm pretty sure I have told the story. Uh, but I can tell it again if y'all want me to. I'll wait and see what what it says. It's not a very long story, but um, hope I had a good. Yeah, Batman. I hope you did too. It was quiet. I was quiet, and no, I was only 16 years old. Shio, I couldn't get in a strip club. uh, Kyler says 26. Good grief, I got a ball cap older than that. Yeah, me too. Probably got a lot of ball caps around here. So many I've lost track of some of them. I'll be digging through junk in my bedroom and come across one like, oh, I wondered where that went. uh, but yeah, last stream of 2019, last stream of the decade for me, probably. Uh, I think that the only day that I'm off next week and be able to stream is Thursday. I think, but that's not set in stone. Last I seen my work schedule, it was still written in pencil and being edited. So yeah, the only thing I know for sure and confirmed with them, I'm off today and off tomorrow. I'll go back to work Monday. So I'll, I'll find out more on Monday. Are you back?
Yep.
Yeah, but yeah. So there was one thing I did want to get into. The last stream we spent almost the entire stream talking about tobacco and the places we worked and worked in retail and all that. And I don't want to go all back into that again, but I did have an update. We're all aware of the law that was passed, the age of able to buy cigarettes has been raised to 21. Trump signed it in, and we talked about that last stream.
Mm-hmm.
And we wondered at the time what was going to happen to all the people that had already been legal buying cigarettes, but now they're not. Well, I found out more. Our corporate has sent out some information. By the way, where I work, the corporation, they are accepting it as law that's in place now, but they are not going to enforce it until I think they want to do some thinking about it on just how they're going to handle it, because it's going to be a little tricky, and here's why. On December 20th, 2019, Trump passed the law that are signed into law that the age to buy cigarettes and to smoke legally is 21. It used to be 18.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't discount all the people that were 18. So if you were 18 or 19 or 20 before December 20th, 2019, you are grandfathered in. You can still buy.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah, but can you imagine the mess that's going to be for carding people?
Yeah, they're gonna have to change all the signage and stuff too. If you were born,
Yep.
and your grandfathered in it, this day I remember those signs.
Yeah, and I'll have to be, I have to check ID and, okay, yeah, you're 18, but when were you 18?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I can sell to this 18-year-old, but I can't sell to you because your birthday was too late. It's just going to be a mess. Now, it's a good thing because the girls that I work with and I were talking and we were kind of worried. One of the girls that works there is 18 years old.
Ooh.
So we were wondering, does that mean she loses her job? If she
Yeah.
can't buy it, she can't sell it. what happened? So that was a little bit of a relief to her because she was already 18, so she's grandfathered in. But yeah, so that's just an update on that situation.
That's an absolute mess, is what that is.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big mess, and corporate is trying to figure out just exactly how they're going to handle it. So they said until further notice, it's business as usual. Check ID if they're 18, regardless of when, sell it to them. You know, so if I get in trouble and I get secret shopped, hey, I'll just tell them corporate said for me to do. I'm just doing what they told me to do.
Yep.
Hey, functional. Hey, Badger. And yeah, by now people have noticed the title, and there was a twofold reason for that. And one is for the year and the decade that's about to pass. Press hit F for respect for that. But the big elephant in the room that we haven't talked about yet, that's starting to get around our little circle. You all are aware that Drunken Uncle's channel was it was yeeted, taken down.
Yep. At least he has a backup. I'm putting it in the chat.
Yeah, okay.
So.
I don't know all the details. I know just enough to maybe know a little bit about what it's about, and it has to do with a video that he did on Onion Boy about 9 months ago.
That's what the scuttlebutt is. But from what I've heard from other people, because Onion Boy has been abusing the copyright system, YouTube, from what I understand, YouTube has told him that he is not to do that unless there is a lawyer doing it for him now.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know everything behind that, but to me, because of the new change of the TOS, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if the people that he's done response videos to went back to his channel and started flagging the stuff for harassment. Because, hey, when you poke fun at somebody and when you disagree with them at the same time, they consider that harassment.
Well, I seen a copy of the notice that that Drunkle got. It's making its rounds around Twitter, and it specifically mentioned that Onision video that he done 9 months ago.
Okay.
So I don't know whether that was by Onision himself or by a third party, a lawyer or something. I don't know, but it does seem to be that one that they were focusing on. And yes, they cited their new TOS and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I was afraid of that when they passed it. A lot of us have got old videos out there. I do. I got several. Of people that we went after and made fun of back in the day.
Yep.
Riley Dennis and Mr. Blocker,
Yeah.
What's his name? Boy, Steve Shives.
Steve Shives.
And Christy Winters and
Michael Rowlands.
And all those people. What's her name that was on MTV that
yeah.
And we've all done it.
Yeah.
And how far are they going to dig before they say, well, you're in violation of our terms of service, so bye.
Yeah. Well, it's like mine. I've been fighting with my main channel for months, and they've been ignoring me. Not because my main channel's been yeeted, but first it started out with me watching a live stream. I think this was back in April of this year. It was when Alex was still on his Bear channel, and I tried to type something in the live chat, and it told me I couldn't type anything in the live chat. And I tried again, and nothing. And I refreshed, and nothing. Checked my emails, and come to find out, well, this is when Google Plus was still a thing, before Google Plus went, okay?
Yeah.
That my Google Plus account had been reported for, get a load of this, guys, sexually explicit and pornographic content. Now, I appealed because I've never posted that on that account or any account on any of my channels at all in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And they sent me, after the appeal, a response saying that they had done it in error and that they were going to correct the problem. They never corrected the problem. The only thing I could do from my main channel from that point on is do my usual channel thing and post in live chats.
Yeah.
Okay. And the next thing that I realized that I couldn't do since the Google stuff still hadn't been fixed was I couldn't link to Streamlabs, Nightbot, or anything of that nature.
Yeah.
Then last week I noticed they yanked my avatar off my main channel, and every time I go back to change and update the account, it says unable to update at this time, try back later.
Huh. Real quick, thank you, Jedi Ghost Square and Cynical Lindsay. Yeah, it was Francesca who I was trying to think of.
Yeah.
Um, we've all done videos on those people. I have. You look through my videos, you'll find them as well as other people. That's just what we did back then, 3 years ago or whatever, and that was the thing, to make response videos. So yeah, it's a little worrying, more than little.
It is. I mean, especially since every time they update their TOS, they make it more and more ambiguous.
Yeah. You would think the fair thing to do is, okay, this video is against your TOS, then give me the opportunity to take that video down.
Mm-hmm.
Don't eat the whole channel. My gosh, just take the video down.
Yep.
Especially for something that's old like that was made before the new TOS.
Yeah.
It just makes sense. But, Google making sense. What am I thinking?
now, Bloodwing, you know better than that.
Yeah. What would so I don't know what Drunkle's going to do. I haven't spoke to Drunkle. We are, I would consider his friends, but I haven't spoke to him for a while. And I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know what his resources are. Small channels like his and we don't have a lot of recourse because we don't have their ear like some of the big channels. It's hard to even get a response from them.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a problem. So, yeah. Batman says it should be a 3 warning system. Yeah, or something like that. But just to immediately yeet it because of a video that you made 9 months ago that was previous to the new TOS that you're supposedly in violation of.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if they continue on that road, and I'm not a conspiracy person, don't believe in conspiracy theories, don't like to put on that tinfoil hat, but it sure makes it look like, well, they're just trying to clear the platform of undesirables, or what they consider undesirables.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is, Kyler. It's getting to be a pain. But I've always said, and I'll say it again, I'll ride this horse till it can't be rode no more, because I'm just that stubborn. Because the way I think about it, if I let them run me off, then they won.
Yeah.
They won. So, yeah, there'll be a lot of people looking for other platforms to go on, which has been going on for a couple of years now, ever since the first adpocalypse. And that's all well and good. You can do that. I even done it myself when I first went over to, what was that? I still got an account, but I haven't been on it forever.
BitChute?
No, I've never been on BitChute. I'll think of it here in a minute. Matter of fact, I can pull this up. It'll tell me. Minds.
Oh,
When I first went over to Minds, that was my idea, to have at least a backup. But I haven't really found a platform that looks even close to having a chance of competing with YouTube. And like it or not, YouTube is the platform with the most reach.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the way it is. So yeah, I'll ride this horse till it can't be rode no more, till it dies. It's just That's just me. That's
Yeah.
right.
I mean, it's. I stream over on Twitch. I haven't had a problem with it. And, I used to upload the clips to YouTube, and somebody told me that the problems I might be having is the fact that on a lot of the clips, I'm saying, "Well, we stream over on Twitch," and that used to be, and still is, even though a lot of people overlook it, a part of YouTube's TOS that they don't want you advertising other platforms.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, if screw it. So after the first of the year, when Ronan switches jobs and he becomes an owner operator, one of the dead set goals for next year is to get me a website where I can upload my videos my way, where I want to upload them at.
Yeah.
And does that mean I have to build the audience like all over again? Yes. But if I have to go from the ground up on my own website, then that means that I don't have to abide by YouTube's TOS. I don't have to abide by Twitch's TOS. And yeah, I'm planning on doing all of it through WordPress because a lot of people dismiss WordPress, but WordPress has been doing a lot of work. You can actually stream through WordPress now. You can
Yeah.
actually upload audio podcasts to it, make some stuff on your WordPress website, actually pay gated, and set up your own Patreon tier system from through WordPress and all that. I've been looking all that up. So we're going to be doing that next year.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know what Drunkle's going to do. I don't know what his immediate plans are, what even recourse he has. And being a creator myself and a small creator, he's larger than me, but would still be considered a small creator. There's just not a lot of recourse for us little guys because we just don't have their ear,
Yeah.
and as well as I do, sometimes you play the devil just to even get a response from them, even if it's a canned response, a forum letter, it's hard to even get that out of them because we just don't have their ear like the bigger creators. And by bigger, I mean like PewDiePie, Markiplier, huge millions of subscribers. That's what it takes.
Yeah.
Um, but I hate to hear it. I really do. I hate it for Drunkle, and I hope he gets his channel back. I really do. I'm not going to hold out a lot of hope, but I hope he does.
Me too.
If that's what he wants to do, if he wants to fight for his channel, then I hope he does.
We all can talk about it for hours, Lindsay. The problem I have with BitChute is I can't I upload there. Everything that I upload here ports over there automatically. But the one thing I don't like about BitChute is that I can't set up the same playlists on BitChute that I can here without having to pay them, and they don't accept cash. They only accept Bitcoin, and I'm not going to do the Bitcoin thing because to me the Bitcoin thing is too volatile.
I have little problems with a lot of the alternative, if you will, platforms. And I'm not against using, like I said, I went to Minds when it first became a thing. And not when it first opened, but when it became popular to go over to Minds. I was one of the first ones to go over after, what's his name, was supporting it there. The Irish guy, red hair.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Computing Forever.
Yeah.
When he started, promoting it, and I went over there and checked it out and was really into it for a while. But and it's not that Dave Cullen, yeah, thank you. It's not that I don't, I wouldn't support a different platform, and I wish there was another platform, and I may, support one if I like it, at least upload my stuff there as well as YouTube. But what I'm saying is until there is a really viable alternative, I'm still going to upload to YouTube. I'm going to ride that horse till it goes down, even if I do start to use another alternative platform. I was using Minds quite a bit, but the video upload and stuff on mine. Just I don't know. It may have changed since I haven't been on forever, but it was so clunky. Oh, it was clunky. It was awful,
Yep.
and I just got tired of it. It was frustrating,
Mhm.
and it got to the point where, and I'm not a prude, but when you open up your timeline, and 9 out of 10 things you see is porn, and that's not what you signed up for.
Exactly.
You're just like, yeah, no, no,
Yeah. I'm good, thanks.
yeah, but yeah, I hated to hear that for Drunkle. I really do, and if he wants to fight for his channel, I don't know. I haven't, like I said, I have not talked to him. I haven't talked to Drunkle for a while, actually. Um, if that's what he wants, I hope that's what he gets. I hope he gets his channel back, and because if somebody with a semi-level head even gets involved with it, I mean, come on, it's just not that hard to figure out that that's a little harsh for a video that was done 9 months ago, previous
Yeah.
to this new terms of service.
Yeah,
You
he
know,
did tweet out this morning a little bit before noon. Yeah, I've been yeeted from YouTube at YouTube. No strikes, no reasons given, just a big old FU. Oh, except for the opportunity to appeal, which even if I knew what I was appealing against, is going to fall on deaf ears. At Team YouTube, seriously, sort it out.
yeah, yeah, it's a bad situation for him. It really is, and I hate to hear that, but you know, nothing any of us can do for him except support him. And in whatever way we can. You know, I hate to hear that. I hope he gets it back somehow. I'm not. I won't hold out much hope, but because I know how YouTube works.
Yeah.
I've been doing this now for over 3 years, so
Yep.
in that time, I have learned how YouTube works the hard
Hmm.
way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what he's going to do, but hope it works out for him. Hope it works out for him, and I hope personally that I don't lose track of him. You know,
Yeah.
if he goes away from YouTube, I know he's got that other channel, which I think that he created back when he was having trouble streaming on his main channel for whatever he had a strike or something,
Yeah.
and he was doing that in order to keep up with at the time Ghost Poo
Yeah.
podcast, but. He's
Yep.
got that. You're not supposed to make a new channel if that happens to you. That's against terms of service as well. So, yeah.
Mhm.
Although a lot of people have done it.
Yep. A lot of people have done it. And then people tend to get mad when you point out, well, the little loophole to that is if you already have an existing secondary channel that is linked to your account when your main channel gets yeeted, then no, that's not against terms of service. It's when your main channel gets yeeted and you start a secondary channel after the yeeting has occurred,
Yeah.
that's against the TOS. That's the catch. And yeah, I'm intermittently putting Drunken Uncle's secondary channel in the chat so you guys can go over there
Yeah.
and
Yeah. But I don't know. Time will tell. Time will
mm,
tell. None of us knows what's going to happen, and we'll just have to wait and see.
yep.
But I hate to hear it because I do like Drunkle. He's a good guy. Kyler says, my advice, Bloodwing, make a backup channel. I have a second channel. I haven't put anything on it for a long time, but I have a second channel that I had started and it just became too much work. And it became a choice of either growing that channel or growing this one. And I chose this one.
Yeah.
It was a creepypasta channel, and there's actually still a link to it uh, on my YouTube page for this channel. Um, there's only like 4 episodes on there, but if you want to check it out, go ahead. I'm proud of what I did with it before I quit working on it, but I do have
Mhm.
a second channel. So if it happens to me, I can always go to that channel, I suppose.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I can't agree with you there, Elwin, as far as the mukbangers are concerned. There are some of them, like it's now coming out now through lots of other channels and stuff, that Mr. Avocado, and I wish he wouldn't have picked one of my favorite foods for his freaking last name, but there you have it, manipulated another mukbanger. And I don't think people that can be proven to manipulate other people or gaslight or verbally abuse other people should be on the platform. I don't think Onision should have a platform anymore, but those are two people that are still on the platform.
yeah. See, that's the amazing thing to me. And if this does have something to do with a video done on you on Onision, I mean, there's not a more terrible person on YouTube than he is. It for in a lot of different ways.
Hmm.
You know, he's a pedo. He's just a nasty, nasty individual.
Yeah, he is.
And he's done plenty of videos, you know, making fun of other people.
Yeah.
But he still exists on the platform. I don't get that. And a little channel like Drunkles gets
Yeah.
yeeted. I don't
Okay.
understand.
Okay, RJ, this is going to be a very unpopular opinion, but hear me out on this. Okay, should Lainey be permabanned as well? Yes, but everybody keeps saying that she's a predator too. I think she's a product of Onision. Remember, she got married to him when she was 17 years old. He is the only type of relationship that she has ever known. So to her, what he does is normal because she's never really been in other relationships to know what is normal and what is abhorrent.
Yeah.
So she's as much a victim as she is a perpetrator, in my opinion.
You know,
Allegedly.
you all know that I have children and I have lots of grandchildren. I have 10 of them. That's a bunch.
Mhm.
um, but I leave it up to my grandchildren's parents to decide what they can watch and what they can't watch. Now I might make recommendations to them, but I leave it up to that's their call, not mine.
Yeah.
Now, if they're in my care, I don't care a bit. Say, while I'm watching you and mommy's not home, don't watch that. I don't like it, that kind of thing. But other than that, I make them, I let mom and dad or whatever make the call. But there were two cases where I went to my daughters and said, do not let your children watch these. One was a Onision, and I done that because I caught one of my granddaughters doing that banana dance thing or whatever it was that he was famous for. And I
Oh,
said, how
God.
did you know about that? And then I went to my daughter and explained to her exactly why that's not something they should be watching, his channel.
Yeah.
And then the other one was what's that Lindsay with the teddy bear, the
Queer kid stuff.
queer kid queer kid stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I explained to him, I didn't just say, don't let them watch this, it's terrible. I explained to them why.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. Uh-oh. Getting just for a second there, we're getting a little circle on the stream. I noticed, at least on my end.
Yeah.
Makes me nervous when that happens. Like, is YouTube listening and hearing me complain? Now they're gonna shut me down. I don't
Right?
know.
They're hearing us, bitch. There goes our channels. Dang nabbit. Yeah, I know. The Ladybot has to know the difference between right and wrong. But the thing is, that's what I mean. She's as much of a victim as a perpetrator, because just think about how much manipulation Onision had to do with Lainey in order for her to get to the point where she's doing the same thing he's doing.
Yeah, I'm not familiar enough with Lainey. I know who she is, but I'm not familiar enough with her to make a call one way or the other. Honestly, when it comes to Onision, I try to stay as far away as possible. I don't even want to see the guy.
Yeah.
I just don't, because he's just a despicable, nasty waste of oxygen human being.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. That's what it is, and so I don't even want to see him. So I don't know much about Lainey. I don't know much about anything else. I know all I need to know about Onision, and that's enough to not even want to deal with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I totally get you on that one.
Yeah. But, just for a second, let me calm down. What? I wasn't getting excited. You guys have never heard me get fired up. Not really. Oh no, 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 no. You can ask Alex that next time he's on, because he's heard me get fired up behind the scenes, and he'll tell you that you guys haven't heard me get fired up. Now I have got fired up on a stream once, but it was a long time ago on a buddy of mine that used to be on YouTube then. He's not now, but Danny the Dingo, uh, and one of his live stream. Egal was on there. A lot of you know Egal.
Mm-hmm.
And Blah Blah, who went by another name. She was used to be Adendro's girlfriend.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
And Amanda Wolfchild was in the chat, and there was a MGTOW guy that Amanda was going round and round with, and he was stalking her, and we called him into the stream, and I went off.
Markov. I
Markov,
remember
yeah.
that. Yeah.
I went off. I lost my temper. I lost my cool. Knew it and didn't care. It was so bad that after it was over, my son-in-law was in the other. He goes, "Who in the world were you yelling at?" And I was in a closed room. Yeah. So yeah. I doubt any of you would remember that. So you've never heard me go off
Yeah.
or get angry. Yeah. Get grumpy, maybe, but that's different than angry. Cantankerous, perhaps. But yeah. I mean, I don't know what else can be said about it, right? About Drunkle's situation right now, because it's really all we know, and all that can be said. There's not a thing any of us can do for him except try to support him in whatever way we can.
Yep.
And I just don't know what else to say about it. So.
Yep. Just spread the link to his secondary channel far and wide to see if we can find all of his subscribers and stuff like that, and and see if we can help him build that second channel. The thing is, if it just was Onision's content, then that means, to me, I love his humor. Okay, every time I watched one of his videos, I was laughing from beginning to end, because he's just one of these people that his comedic timing to me is just on point.
Yeah.
And he's just poking fun at these people. He doesn't mean this maliciously when he pokes fun at them. I mean, he's not a malicious person. So, but if he does start uploading to a secondary channel, I'm afraid that because of the new TOS, his new videos may be a bit, for lack of a better word, sanitized.
Yeah. Yeah. I love Drunkle's humor too. I got to know Drunkle quite some time ago. And so I would call it friends, if not at least friendly acquaintances with Drunkle for quite some time now. But I hope he's able to sort it out one way or another.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just not much else to say, because there's not much else that you can do. But
unfortunately, they don't listen to ever small voices. They only listen to the really big ones.
Yeah, that is true. Who was it mentioned? Deck Train Ogre. Oh my gosh, yeah, I remember that dude too.
Ugh, don't get me started on that ass wipe. Oh, excuse me.
I remember that dude too. But I don't know. But anyway, last week, if you remember, I was able to go the whole stream without having to stop to go to the bathroom. That's not going to be the case this week. Because I am going to have to go now, which is actually a little earlier than usual. Usually go about an hour in, and we're only 45 minutes in. But
Yep.
I've been hitting the coffee pretty hard today, so I shall be right back.
Okay. And how is everybody doing? There are 24 people watching. We got 18 likes. I don't know if Duck Dog's out there or not, but that dislike button, Duck Dog, is looking awfully lonely. When I said she's this, okay, let me clarify something here because I started some shit in the live chat. When I say she's as much as a victim as a perpetrator, I am not trying to absolve her of any of the illegal activity that she did. Okay? Laney, Kai, whatever he wants to go by now, is now making a conscious effort to follow in the footsteps of Onision and thus should be investigated and arrested for said behavior. Okay? Do I believe that Onision took her and groomed her in order to get to this point where she is doing this? I don't want to get Bloodwing in trouble. Where Kai is doing this voluntarily now? Yes. And that's where the fault lies with Kai. Okay? Is Kai old enough to know right from wrong? Yes. But was Kai one of the first people that he ever groomed? Yes. That's what I mean by she is both a victim and a perpetrator. I'm not absolving her of any illegal activity that she's done. She needs to be arrested. She needs to be investigated. And if there is enough evidence to arrest her, which there is out there all over the internet, because both of them are as public as Lady Godiva was on I think it was Lady Godiva, naked on the horse. It's all out there. Then, they should gather this information and gather all this evidence and they should arrest her. Okay? She shouldn't be absolved of anything that she's doing that's illegal. I'm not saying that. Okay? All I'm saying is Kai was groomed to this point for Kai to be doing what Kai is doing now. And yes, I'm doing that on purpose so I don't call her, misgender Kai, because I don't want to get Peppa in trouble, even though I've already done this on accident a couple of times. Okay, yeah, that's what scares me too. They have children, so during the investigation, I feel these children should be taken out of the home because I feel they're in danger. Because it's a sticky situation that I don't think the kids need to be there either.
Yeah, I can agree with that. But anyway, I don't know. It's a bad situation, and I hope it works out for Drunkle. I do.
Yeah.
But I don't know what else could be said. So I'm going to try to change the subject. Going to try to. I know what. I know what. Like I was telling you before we started, I promised my wife that I would. She's got a headlight out on her car, and after the stream, I promised that I would change the headlight for her. Now, I may have mentioned it back when I did it, but a couple of months ago, I had changed a headlight on the car, and not more than a week, 2 weeks later, the other one goes out. Like, are you kidding me? Now, my wife had the foresight to buy both headlights. When she bought one, she bought two. So we have the part. I just haven't wanted to get out there and do it. Lazy. Yeah. But this car, it's a little bit more than that. This car, and I was a mechanic for 13 years. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff under the hood of a car. This car has one of the most stupid setups for a headlight that I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
She has a small Chevy SUV. What is that? The Equinox?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She has a little Equinox. To change the headlight on this car, first of all, it takes a a certain size starhead driver. So if you don't have that, you got to go out and get one. Fortunately, I have one to begin with. To remove the screw this way, but to access it, You have to turn the front wheel all the way out and you access the headlight from the wheel well.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is convoluted.
I have never seen anything like that. And I almost didn't believe it. My daughter was telling me, yeah, you got to get at it from the wheel well because she had changed a headlight for her earlier, like last year. I'm like, so I looked it up on YouTube. Sure enough, you've got to turn the front wheels all the way out so that there's space to get in there, and you get at it from the wheel well. And I'm like, what the heck is this? This is stupid.
It's like the more engineering ingenuity and computers they stick in a vehicle, the more convoluted it becomes just to do something simple to keep up with the maintenance on it.
Yeah. So, and it's not just the convoluted way to get at it, that makes it so low that with my legs, I can't crouch very well. My legs and hips will start to just scream in a short time if I crouch down. So I have to sit on the ground. Folks, it's muddy out there right now in Indiana, like really muddy because all that snow that we got 2 weeks ago melted off last week when it was in the 60s. It is a muddy, marshy mess
Yeah.
everywhere. I don't want to do it, but I
Well, it's like
promised her.
yeah, it's like I remember I used to wonder why my dad would cuss all the time trying to change the oil filter in Mom's Honda Del Sol. And it wasn't until I decided I was going to do my own oil change in my old CRV that I no longer have that I realized why he cussed. Because the way they have it, you got to get it. You can't access it from above. So there's no way to get the oil filter out from, going on the top of the engine and, just grabbing it and twisting it off and taking it off. You can't do it that way. You got to get up underneath and you literally have to have one of those special oil filter wrenches because it doesn't matter how small your hand is. It would literally have to be the hand of a 6-year-old because it's a 3-inch gap in order to reach up there to get the filter, to loosen it up enough to get it off. And it's like, how in the guy was with at the time heard me go, what the hell were they smoking when they put this thing here? He goes, what's the matter? I said, now I know why my dad kept yelling every time he had to change the oil in the Honda.
Yeah. Well, I've I've seen some pretty tight fits. Being a mechanic for 13 years. That's why every mechanic has every knuckle on his hand busted. You know, they're all scratched up, scabs on the back of his hands. That's just part of the job. Uh, but yeah, something like that. I couldn't get my. I'm a scrawny fella, but I have really big hands.
Yeah.
I have hard time getting gloves that fit. I'm kind of like OJ Simpson. If it don't fit, you must have quit. Um, I have just really big hands, and it's hard for me to get them in them tight spots anymore.
I remember the first time a mechanic had said this to me. My first vehicle was a 1985 Mitsubishi B5000 pickup truck, 5-speed. Okay. Um, the engine seized through a rod, so we went to an engine place to go fix it, and they guaranteed a 3-day turnaround. Day 2, I get a phone call and they said they had found the engine and everything. He said, but they wanted to know one thing because we bought this from my dad, who's supposed to be the master mechanic of all. Went with me and we purchased this thing. I don't know how he didn't notice this because the mechanic's question to me was, he goes, I have a few questions for you. It's all right. Shoot. Question number 1: do they still live in the same house they're in now? Yes, sir. All right. Do they have any trees in their yard? Yes. Why? He goes, just wondering, because we have rope. I said, why do you want to hang somebody? We
Yeah,
don't know how we did this. We don't know how we did this. But the guy didn't put a Mitsubishi engine in the truck when he replaced the engine. He put a Chrysler Aries K car engine in a Mitsubishi pickup truck without changing the motor mounts. Not only did he do that, he didn't put the seals on all the pistons, so it was pumping the oil out of the engine and into the carburetor. So guess what needed to be cleaned out and rebuilt and cleaned out?
Yeah.
So back in the early 90s, this was a $3,600 job.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah. I've done the shade tree thing. There's the reason why there's the term is shade tree mechanic,
yeah,
because you use the lower limb of that tree to pull the motor. You put a chain or a rope over it to lift it up and out.
yeah,
If you don't have anything to winch it with,
yeah.
it's an old redneck trick. It, yeah, that's just like there was a video making its rounds a couple of weeks ago on. I guess it's been a little longer than that now. I lose track of time, but I think SoFame was showing it, and he was just like amazed. And I'm like, oh, geez, that's an old redneck trick, dude. Done that many times, and showed some people they were out mudding, and they broke the seal on their tire, which happens, and so it lost all the air immediately. If
Yeah,
you pop the seal. Well, there's if you have access to a can of starter fluid, which is mostly ether, uh, you can fill that tire up with that can of ether and then put a match to it. You want to be careful because you'll blow your face off.
yeah,
But you put a match to it, and the small explosion that it causes instantly pumps the tire up and seals it to the bead.
yeah.
It's physics, is what it is. It's redneck physics. Phew.
Right, right.
But he was so amazed, and I'm like, "Geez, criminy man, that's old stuff right there."
Yeah. Well, it's like when my dad went to Northwestern anything and they promoted him to supervisor. I remember him coming home after a couple of weeks of being a supervisor because they had hired a brand new mechanic, fresh out of airplane mechanic school. And mom said, "How's the trainee going?" He said, "This idiot wouldn't know how to fix an airplane if I wrote an instruction manual." He said he came across a problem that he didn't know how to fix. So when I fixed it in less than 5 minutes, he looked at me like there was a horn growing out of the middle of my head. And the only reason that he gave for not being able to know what was wrong with the airplane was because it wasn't in the book in the class.
Yep. Yeah, I've had a lot of people ask me, when they find out that I spent 13 years as a mechanic. So, oh, did you go to school? Were you certified? No, I didn't learn that way. I learned the old way
Yeah.
by
My
doing it.
my dad learned in the Air Force and then took it into the regular. He worked for North Eastern, and then when Eastern went under, he went to Northwest, and we all know
You know,
Northwest is hanging on by a thread, barely.
yeah, I was, I grew up. My family was poor, and even after Dad got on the post office, we weren't exactly rich. Middle class maybe, but no more. And we drove a lot of junk cars. That you gotta, because that's what we could afford. And if you drive junk, then you got to keep them. You got to keep them up. You got to keep working on them. And I'd be 10, 11, 12 years old out there helping Dad work on the car. I didn't have any choice. There was no choice. It was like, come on, boy,
Yeah,
and that's just what it was. That's how I learned, you know, and made my way in. And during my time of doing it, yeah, you'd see those kids that come out of the school. They'd go to Lincoln Tech here, which is what teaches you that kind of stuff. And it's nothing against Lincoln Tech, it's good for what it is. But they come in and then they're faced with mechanics in the real world outside of the classroom, and are like, I don't know what this is. What? Help me.
right. It always gets me because they really need to, because the government started this, but they really needs to go and trickle all the way down to all the trades again, and just go back to the old apprenticeship program, because you learn more from the people that have been in the industry for 20, 30, 40 years than you do in 2 years in a classroom.
Oh yeah, it's much easier and faster to uh, to learn hands on.
Yeah.
It's sorry about the pause there for a second. I've seen, when you guys put my name in there, it highlights it as red or orange or whatever that is, and it catches my attention sometimes. And I can't, me, I can't do two things at once. But yeah, that's the easiest and fastest way to learn something is to do it.
Yeah.
For instance, in the job that I have now, one of the most frustrating things to learn to do was to do the lottery, not the scratch offs. That's easy. They tell you, okay, I want a number 20 and two number 32s and
Yeah.
whatever, and you
Yeah.
just tear it off and scan it at the register and give it to them. It's the online stuff like the Hoosier Lottery, the Powerball, the all that stuff.
Yeah.
And the machine is not exactly user friendly, and it is very convoluted and it can be confusing. And they would show me and show me and show me, and still I was like not completely getting it. And I'm pretty good at computers. It wasn't that. It was just like, okay. Uh, and it doesn't help that like Hoosier Lottery, uh, you can hit the in the term they call it give me an extra, and
Yeah.
it's like taking the Powerball on the Powerball lottery,
Right.
and all the other ones, if you click no extra, it just prints it off and goes on to the next thing. On the Hoosier Lottery, it pops up a screen. You sure you don't want this? Yes or no? Well, that screen looks exactly like the screen of this is going that also pops up. This lottery ticket is going to cost this much. Are you sure you want to do it? Yes or no? So it's easy to accidentally give somebody an extra when they didn't want it.
Yeah.
And then you're going to hear about it when you give it to them because it costs more.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh
But
yeah.
anyway, long way around the story, I suppose. I just wasn't getting it with people just showing me. But all it took was a couple of days of just doing it by myself,
Yeah.
just doing it, and I had it. Now I've got it down pat. I'm super comfortable with it. Doesn't fill me with dread at all when it used to. I'm like, oh God, I don't want to do lottery.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's some stuff. It's like the my second husband used to try and show me how to do stuff, especially on the computer. And I told him, I said, look, and I finally told him, I said, I keep telling you, if you're going to teach me to do something on the computer, you sit me down and you walk me through it. Because you can sit there all day tapping the keys and clicking shit on the mouse and clicking stuff on the screen and saying you do this and you go here and you click that. But until I'm sitting in the damn chair doing it myself, I'm not going to learn it. It's not going to stick.
Yeah.
I have to do, which is why my kid got confused at me one day and goes, I want to show you how to do this, Paul, but do you want to learn by doing or do you want to learn by me showing you? And he went, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I tried to teach J Kid mechanics and he didn't want to learn from me. But after he got older, then he realized, maybe some of this is a skill set I need, to work on the junk that I own. So he would come to me, and instead of doing it for him, I would tell him what to do, put the tools in his hands and say,
Yep.
okay, do this, do that. This is how you do it. And that's how he learned it. To me, that's the easiest way to learn is just by doing.
Yeah.
It's much easier to learn by doing than you can teach somebody all you want in the classroom setting, which is all well and good. You get it in their brain, but they're not going to really get it, quote unquote, until they do it for themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. That yeah, I've seen a lot of hack mechanics out there. Oh, when I had finally went from being a mechanic up to being assistant manager, decided I was tired of turning wrenches. I wanted to be the boss, and I'd done that. I had a mechanic that worked for me that I learned real quick to never give him electrical work. Never give him electrical work.
Oh Lord.
Here's why. I gave him an electrical job on a car. I don't remember what it was, but some car, and it kept blowing fuses. And so there was a short somewhere, Just had to find the short. Well,
Hmm.
if you've ever worked in the electrical on cars, you understand that there are, especially modern cars, there are miles and miles and miles of wiring in that car.
Oh yeah.
Wiring that you don't even see. We're not just talking under the hood. There's wires that run all through that car out of your sight. But I gave him the job. He's a mechanic, you know. Hey, find this short. And I was walking through the shop as I was wont to do sometimes if I didn't have anybody at the counter, you know, to check up on all the jobs, see how they were going. I was walking through the shop and I walked by him, and I seen him doing something under the dash at the fuse box, and then getting back out and crawling in the back of the car with a flashlight. I said, "What are you doing, man?" He goes, "I'm looking for this short." So I took a closer look. This idiot was taking a bolt,
Hmm.
sticking it into the fuse slot, and then jumping out and looking for the smoke.
Oh my God.
That's how he was trying to find the short. So
Oh,
there's a lot of hacks out there.
yeah.
I learned, okay, mental note, never to give this guy an electrical job again.
Well, it's like we had. There was one summer I spent cleaning houses with one of my mom's friends who did it professionally, and she would bid to help restore houses that had smoke damage after a fire. So I
Mhm.
went to one of these with her. Now, for those of you that don't know, there's two kinds of dry cleaning things. There's the dry cleaning pad that you stick in the dryer that dry cleans your clothes. We all know that one. But there are dry cleaning pads that have chemicals in it that if you start as far up as your arms can reach and then slowly drag it down while applying pressure against the wall, it literally pulls the smoke out of the wall. So we were using these, and we heard the electrician in the house go, "All right, the only thing that's left that we couldn't shut off was the live wire. That's the live wire. Don't touch it." At his assistant, he goes, "I'm gonna come out here. You do exactly what I told you to do. Don't touch nothing. I told you not to touch." Yes, sir. Less than 5 minutes later, we hear a thud from the other room because he had accidentally touched the live wire with something, got shot across the room, and smacked the wall across from him.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've got a story for you on that, but first I want to address Kyler says WTF. That's a good way to burn the car up. Yeah, right. I immediately took the job away from him and gave it to somebody else that I knew could do it, which means I had two upset mechanics. He was upset because I took the job away from him. And the other guy was upset because I gave him somebody else's cast offs. But I had to think of the customer. I had to get it done.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah. Um, Years ago, I knew an old guy. By the time I met him, he was an old retired guy in his 70s.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, I was just a teenager, 15 something, maybe.
Yep.
I think I met him when I was younger than that. I think I was about 10 when I first met him. But anyway, I was one of those weird kids that I loved to listen to the old people's stories. I loved hanging around the old people. I did. A lot of kids think they're boring, but I loved it because I loved their stories.
Yeah.
And anyway, he was retired as chief electrician at Stuart Warner, which is a big manufacturing place. And he's
Yeah.
used to dealing with electricity. I mean, the kind of stuff that will not knock you across the room if you touch it, will fry your butt to a crisp. That's the kind of electricity he's used to working with.
Yeah.
And he used to tell me that, I worked with so much electricity, got shocked so often that I'm immune to it. I'm like, yeah, right. Sure you are. Right. Then I saw him at work, and he was at a friend's house, and they were having an electrical problem. And the fuse box was not labeled. So you couldn't tell what stuff was.
Oh wow.
And he didn't have an electrical meter with him. And this is honest God, 'cause I've seen this with my own eyes. You guys may not believe this, but I've seen it with my own eyes. He would lick his fingers, his thumb and his finger, his forefinger, and stick it on that fuse and say, "That's 110." Lick his fingers. That's 110. Lick his fingers. That's 220.
Damn. Okay.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's telling the truth.
Oh Lord.
Because if you've ever grabbed a hold of 220, it will light you up.
He
You,
just
the most he would do is just a little flinch. Oh,
yeah.
that's 220.
Wow.
Crazy old man. He was a great old man. He would he would make stuff, and he had a shop, and he made a Tesla coil.
Hmm.
You know what? It was a little homemade Tesla coil. It was two of them, and when you cranked the crank, the sparks would go up them like that, like in the Frankenstein movie.
Yeah.
The zzz, and he talked me into putting my finger between them one time. Not fun.
Nope.
Not fun. And oh my gosh, we're getting buffering on the stream again on my end. What
That's not buffering over here. I've been watching it on and off the whole time. I'm not getting any buffering.
Okay, well, maybe it's just on my end. I'll wait until maybe the chat tells me it's buffering. But this guy, yeah, he was nuts. He was absolutely nuts. He made homemade cannons from scratch that
Oh wow.
shot stuff. Uh, the wildest thing he ever did was he lived out in the country, and he had a whole bunch of land out there, several acres. Had his own
Yeah.
pond on the thing and everything. And he says, I've got a stump I want to get rid of back here in the back 40. You want to come with me? I enjoyed his company so much that I was like 14, 15 years old, and I'd go spend the week with him just to
Yeah.
hang out. And uh, I, I went to his house. He says, you want to come with me? I said, sure. Yeah, I'm figured, okay, he's going to chop it up with an axe or whatever. No, he had a stash of dynamite.
Oh God.
And we went out there, and he found the stump, and he dug under the stump till he had enough room to stick him some dynamite. And he says, well, I'm not real sure how much to use here. Heck, I'll just use half a stick.
Oh
He sticks half a stick of dynamite in there. He had blasting caps, put the blasting cap, run the wire up. Had sense enough to have me get way away and down in like a little ditch to watch, and he had the little plunger thing, like you see on the movies where they push the plunger down and it blows the dynamite. He goes, all right, are you ready? I said, yeah. He goes, push the plunger down. So I pushed it down. Bob, boom. That stump went 100 feet in the air. And he is just grinning from ear to ear. I said, dude, you're crazy. You're dangerous crazy. And I love it.
Oh my gosh.
I miss that old guy. He's been dead for years now. But I mean, he was in his 70s when I was in my middle teens, But oh my gosh, he was crazy.
I was like my grandfather. I loved my grandfather to absolute pieces. He was nothing phased this man. He could find, as he put it, the funny in every situation you stuck him in. And this is the same man who taught me how to play dominoes.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he taught me, and when he thought I was ready, he took me to the beach where his three friends were, sat me down at the table, and he said, okay, you're going to play with my granddaughter. I'm just going to sit here and watch because I'm trying to see, how well she learned this. I went, okay. So we're playing. After about a couple of games where I win, one of his friends looked at him and he goes, oh yeah, Flaco, which was his nickname, which is, hey, skinny dude, sit down. At least with you, we have a chance of winning. And he was just, he was one of these guys. My grandmother would yell at him. The only thing he would say is, you're standing in front of the TV, 2 feet to the left, please. You're not made of glass.
Well, this guy was just great. And if I missed anything in chat in the last minute or so, it's because I went ahead and reloaded the page. My page wouldn't quit buffering, and that worried me. So I reloaded it. But on the surface, and he lived out in a little small town, Bargersville, Indiana. Yeah, I mean, this is literally a town where the now entering and now leaving are about 300 feet apart, you
Yeah.
know. And he lived outside of Bargersville, Indiana, and he lived in an old farmhouse, you know, that was probably 100 years old on the outside, but inside that thing, oh my gosh, we're talking the mid 70s. Okay, way before things like this were popular. He had every room in that house wired for sound. So no matter what room you were in, he could get on the intercom and you could reply.
Wow.
Every room in the house was wired for stereo. He had a stereo set up in on one of the downstairs closets. You had to open the closet, but you could play that music in any room of the house. I just flick it on. The guy was just he was phenomenal and crazy, and I loved him. Uh, oh, the old days.
Right? Things were
It,
so much simpler back then.
it was. I was talking with a customer yesterday, as a matter of fact. I had to ask him his birth date, and heard that he made the comment. He says, "I'm old," and he was born the same year I was, but several months later. And I said, "Oh, I'm older than you." He goes, "Really? You don't look it?" And I said, "Yeah, everybody tells me that all the time. I think they're lying, but whatever." Uh, and I said, "Kids today, they just don't even know." He goes, "Right." I said, "It was a great time to be a kid. The '60s is a great time to be a kid. Absolutely phenomenal time to be a kid. You didn't have all this stuff to be worried about. People weren't afraid to go outside their doors. Shoot, in the summertime, I would never wear shoes ever, except on Sunday to go to church.
Yeah.
I would hit the door as soon as the sun come up and come in as soon as the street lights come on. It was a great time to be alive. It really was. It was a great time to be a kid. And was it perfect? Oh no, there's lots of, sure, there were things going on that weren't good, the civil rights stuff and all that, but it was a great time to be a kid. It
Yep.
really was. And then of course he come back and the music. And I said, "Oh well, that goes without saying."
Yeah. Oh yeah. I remember we all go through that phase where we don't like our parents' music. And the full circle moment that happened with me was I was always making fun of my dad's music, saying that it was old and it was outdated and yada yada. And he came home one day. I'm playing pool billiards in the basement and I'm listening to 16 tons, that old black magic, that's coming out of his speakers from his records. And he just walked up to me and he put his hand on my forehead and I said, "What are you doing, Dad?" He goes, "Making sure you're not delirious. After all, my music's old and outdated."
Mm-hmm.
So, fast forward to Ronan and my son, Paul, who said the same thing about my music. And then, you had Rockstar or Rock Band or whatever that was, Guitar Hero,
Yeah.
come up. And he was, my music was all the music that I had was lame at that particular moment. And all of a sudden, he comes home one afternoon from a friend's house and he goes, Mom, please tell me you have the song." "Please tell you I have what song?" "Don't Fear the Reaper." I said, "Paul, you cannot have a classic rock and roll collection without staples. That's a staple."
Yeah.
"Why?" He goes,
Blue Oyster Cult.
"Exactly." He goes, "Because that song is really cool." I said, "You mean my lame music is cool?" And that's when I went, "Damn, I sound like my dad."
Yeah. Yeah. It's really cool for a song about dying.
Exactly.
Because that is what it's about.
And then the second one was with the Guitar Hero. He goes, "I got on the bonus track, Mom. I made it to the bonus track for extra points." He goes, "Mom, how hard is it to play Don't what was it? Hot for Teacher?" I'm like, "Oh, Van Halen. Good luck with that." Good luck.
Depends on what you're playing. If you're going to attempt those drums at the beginning of it, good luck.
No. It was the Guitar Hero one. So he had to keep up
Oh,
with the guitar strokes, and we remember Van Halen and that guitar.
well, Eddie.
Eddie, yeah, I came around the corner, and even though you just hit the buttons to keep up with the notes that are being played, it looked like he was about to have a
Yeah.
meltdown trying to keep up with it. From that day on, all I had to do was go, "Hey, Paul, hot for teacher." He, nope, nope, nope. I'm good. Nope.
Yeah. I tried to play Eruption on, I don't remember if it was Guitar Hero or Rock Band one time. And even on easy, it was impossible.
Yeah.
By Eddie Van Halen,
Oh yeah.
Eruption. Oh my gosh. Uh, but yeah, Eddie. Well, there's only one Eddie Van Halen. I'm sorry. It's just a fact of it. And yes, there were people doing what he did before him.
Hmm.
There were people doing tapping and all that, but Eddie just brought it to a whole nother level.
Oh, didn't he?
And what a lot of people forget is Van Halen became popular at the height of the disco music movement, when everybody was saying rock and roll was dead.
Yep.
Rock and roll's just not going to hit it because disco's popular right now. And then Van Halen come out and proved him wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Veteran of the Psychic Wars and Godzilla. Oh, Godzilla's an awesome song. Played that for my
Hmm.
grandkids, and my grandson that I call Bulldozer. He just loves it because he's all about Godzilla. But Veterans of the Psychic Wars is good too. It's a little bit of a deep track for those that are only slightly familiar with Blue Oyster Cult. But yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. And there's some others. Cities on Fire with Rock and Roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all. Oh, don't see. There you guys go. You know better than to get me started on classic rock, because I'll just go off and talk for another hour. Don't do it. I'm warning you. Don't do it. You've been warned. But yeah, and plus that guitar that Eddie used was of his own design. He took his guitar apart and made it better.
Yeah.
He added more pickups, and he done this and he done that, and I don't understand all the technical stuff about it. I seen him explaining one time on a video what he did to that guitar, and I didn't
Yeah.
understand all of it because I can't play guitar. But oh my gosh, yeah.
Yep.
uh,
There are certain staples in classic rock and roll. You have to have AC/DC. You have to have Blue Oyster Cult. This is all my experience, obviously. You have to have Stairway to Heaven. So that's give or take for some people that I have bumped into, I've noticed. You have to have the Rolling Stones. There's certain bands you have to have in your classic rock staple, in my opinion, in order for you to, have a really rounded
y-
classic rock collection.
yeah, yes, Bansma, ACDC. I love ACDC. They get a bad rap sometimes by rock and roll snobs. um, there's a channel that I look at sometimes. I forget the name of it, but it's a guy that rates like different bands, but he's a bit of a rock and roll snob. If it's not modern progressive, he gives it a pass. And like some of these classic rocks and stuff, I'm like, dude, you're not really a rock and roll fan. You're just a snob. But
Yeah.
anyway, uh, he and other people give it a bad rap sometimes. Every ACDC sounds the same. It all sounds the same. Well, good. That's all they ever tried to do. They weren't trying to do a deeper message. You
No.
want that? There's Led Zeppelin. You want a deep message.
Yeah.
There's Rush. If you want a deep message, there's bands out there if you want a deep message. All
Yeah.
ACDC tried to do is what they did is just do good old fashioned, get you up and moving, make you feel like you're king of the world rock and roll. That's all they ever tried to do, and that's what they did.
Yeah.
and and
They tried to have fun with it, like Kiss.
yeah,
All Kiss ever did before they took their makeup off. Because let's face it, their makeup off albums weren't all that great. They were just having it was good old time rock and roll. Just listen to it, have fun listening to it.
yeah. Kyler says Stairway's overrated and it's a good song, but not epic. You have to consider it in the time that it come out.
Hmm.
That's what makes it epic. Nobody had ever heard anything even remotely like that. Now, I get it. People are tired of it because it has been overplayed.
That and Hotel California.
It has been way overplayed.
Mm.
But I may be a little bit prejudiced because I'm a huge Zeppelin fan. Have been since I first heard them. And I probably heard my first Zeppelin song about 72 or so. When my mom started let me listen to radio stations other than the one she listened to. you know, uh, it's I'm a huge Zeppelin fan. Yeah, very big Beatles fan. I know they get a lot of people today. Oh, the Beatles, they're not all that. Screw you. Most of the rock and roll you have today wouldn't be here without the Beatles.
So I'm one of these people that a handful of their songs is fine, but I just thought they were just overhyped,
You
way
have
overhyped.
you have to look at and take into consideration the barriers they broke and how they changed rock and roll. They single-handedly brought in the whole concept album thing.
Yeah,
Before the Beatles, it was just singles. That's all bands were worried about was hit singles.
yeah,
And they single-handedly brought in the whole concept album thing with Sergeant Pepper and a lot of other things. Like them or not, you have to recognize the contribution that they made to rock and roll, and it's
Oh,
huge.
oh
It's
yeah,
huge.
I recognize the contribution. It's just that most of their songs I don't particularly like, but there are a few that I do.
I
Like,
have a I have a preference to their stuff past 67 as opposed to the stuff prior to 67.
yeah,
Their early stuff. And it's not that I don't like it. Like I Want to Hold Your Hand, all, those songs, the pop songs that would get the girls all screaming till they pass out. Those songs, they're okay, but my preference is the stuff they did after 67.
yeah,
Because they did make a shift and went into harder stuff and more deeper stuff, more concept stuff.
yeah,
And that's where my preferences lie.
yeah.
There.
Yeah, I grew up with my dad having a whole wall of albums, and one of which was Three Dog Night.
Yeah. Yeah.
He had anything from rock and roll to jazz, R&B, blues. So at the ripe old age of 5, I think, I was introduced to BB King, um, Chuck Mangione. I mean everything, because my my parents were real sticklers on, yeah, you can listen to the music that you listen to now that's coming out now, but at least know where it came from.
Chuck Mangione. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I cannot listen or even hear the name Chuck Mangione without thinking about soap operas.
Oh my god.
And I'll tell you why. And you may be old enough to remember some of this, maybe.
Okay.
And in particular, General Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the late 70s, early 80s, when Chuck Mangione was a big name, he had a hit song. I can't remember the name of it, but you'd know it if you heard it. It was his
Yeah.
first big hit song. Uh, General Hospital was a runaway hit at that time. And it was because of the whole Luke and Laura thing.
Oh yeah, I remember Luke and Laura. Mom and I followed that whole freaking saga.
Now, the hilarious thing about it was because it was everybody's favorite couple. And it was like how quickly it went out their brains that the first time that Luke and Laura hooked up, he raped her.
Mm-hmm.
And the song that played in the background during the rape scene was Chuck Mangione. Oh, that was so hilarious. Yeah, I mean, their wedding,
Mm-hmm.
their made up TV wedding had more views than Charles and Diane's wedding.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The ratings were just off the charts.
And then you went from him to Thelonious Monk,
Mm.
because you got to throw in the Monk when you're talking about classic jazz. And all these people that you listen to nowadays have some sort of inspiration. If you ask them what their inspirations are, they'll go back to the 50s, 60s, 70s, where it all quote unquote started, where it all emanated from, in one
Yep.
way or another.
Well, like I've mentioned before, I have very varied musical tastes,
Mhm.
and that's kind of evident in my redneck track because I might for this scene I'm blasting some metal tune, and for the next scene it's bluegrass, and for the next scene it's jazz, and for the next scene it's blues or funk. Love old school funk.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, George Clinton, come on.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Uh-huh.
but very varied, and it's because of the way I was raised. My parents were very young when they got married, and so they were still very young when I come along. I was the firstborn, and so what I grew up listening to was the '50s rock and roll. Because that's what they both had in common that they listened to, and then Dad listened to the old school country music. The whiny country music,
Mm-hmm.
like Hank Williams
Yeah.
and that stuff. And Mom liked classical music and music. My grandmother liked big band music, and of course, being raised in a religious family, Southern gospel was big, thing that you heard all the time. And so I have very, very varied taste.
Yep. I'll be right back. I just heard something thud, and we have a storm start, and I think one of my doors blew open. I'll be right back.
Yeah, better catch it. Um, but Lindsay says I grew up in the '80s and my parents grew up in the '70s, so that explains my musical taste. Yeah, yeah. I have very varied. I like a lot of different music, and there's very little music that I don't like. One is I don't like rap. I don't. I've tried. I've told you before on here. I know I'm repeating myself, but I just can't like it. Um,
There's
not
always going to be something that we don't like.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of EDM. That stuff is just noise to me. But hey, whatever. If that's what you're into, go for it. But yeah, here we are on old rock. I warned you guys not to get me off on old rock and roll. I warned you.
Well, you also say that this stream is like a box of chocolates.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Uh, you know. Yeah. Kyler says, with you there, Blood and Rap is missing the C in the name. But it's partly because my ears don't recognize it as music. Is it an art form? Absolutely, it is. It is an art form, but I don't feel it's music. It's poetry set to a beat to me.
And it used to have a message. Nowadays, it's all mumbly and repetitive.
Yeah. So Sean says, first album I bought was a Black Sabbath cassette at a garage sale. Yeah, I was into Black Sabbath early, very, very early. First Sabbath album I got was their best of, which was titled "We Sold Our Soul for Rock and Roll." But my first album, I bought 5 albums at the same time. I got into one of those album clubs. Remember those?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so you at the time you would get free albums, supposedly, he says with quotation, free albums. They're not really free after you learn how they work, but free albums, when you buy your first one. And I got 5. These are albums that I actually paid for myself. My mom and dad had bought me a compilation album before that, which was very good. Loved that. It was titled Heavy Metal. But let's see. Let me see if I can remember what they were. One was Queen, the Night at the Opera album. And this would have been in '75 when it first came out. The first Aerosmith album, which is just titled Aerosmith, the one with Dream On it. Uh, Aerosmith, Toys in the Attic. Aerosmith Rocks. As you can tell, I like Aerosmith. Old Aerosmith. And Fog Hat Full for the City.
Yeah.
That was my first 5 albums that I bought. I have to put it that way because I bought them all at the exact same time.
Yep.
But
Yep, Deck Trad, Motown. I love Motown and I hate Motown at the same time because Motown in the 60s came out with a lot of earworms that my dad would play, and then for the next 3 or 4 days, I would keep repeating it in my head.
yeah,
I mean, a lot of good music back then.
Yeah, Lindsay says We Sold Our Soul for Rock and Roll was my first Sabbath album too. Got it for Christmas. I think Masters of Reality was the first official Sabbath album I owned. Sold Our Soul for Rock and Roll. I liked Masters of Reality. I loved Sabotage. Oh my gosh, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, awesome album. I was just really, really into Black Sabbath in those days, and still am, by the way.
Yeah.
If I'm in the mood for something to bob my head to, I'll pop in some old Sabbath.
Yeah.
Aussie Sabbath. I'm sorry, no kick against what's his name, but it's just not the same.
Yeah.
Just not the same. Worst rock album out there? Oh my gosh, that's a difficult answer to difficult question to answer.
That's subjective to the person, actually.
Yeah, because music is very subjective, and like I like a lot of stuff. J Kid and I have about the same taste in music, but there's some things I like that he just really doesn't. For instance, I really love old Neil Young.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about like Harvest, Gold Rush, Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere, that stuff. And he thinks it's crap. He can't stand it, So it's so very subjective, That's kind of hard to answer. Sean D.W. says worst rock album, anything by Nickelback. yeah, I don't get that. I mean, I understand why they say Nickelback's so bad, but I like some of Nickelback stuff. I'm not a snob. Technical difficulties. Oh my goodness. You're one of the few people that I know, Lindsay, that would even bring that up, because that's one of their lesser known Black Sabbath albums.
Yep.
Because it was at that point that they started to show the rough around the edges, that it was coming to an end. But yeah, I used to own Technical Ecstasy. That's what I know what you meant. It's Technical Ecstasy, not technical difficulties. But I loved it. It wasn't as good as, say, Sabotage, but it wasn't bad, And there was a song on there that was called She's Gone. And I went through a really bad breakup with a girlfriend at that time. And man, I played the crap out of that song and cried. But I love Tom Petty too. Yeah. Yep. Barry White, mentioned by Deck Train earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I have to agree, Cynical. Lindsay, it is a toss-up between Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, and Sabotage. They were both really fantastic albums.
Yep.
Extremely fantastic. So it'd be hard to choose between the two.
Oh my God. See, this is where I feel old and stupid at the same time, because Deck Tran put an abbreviation in the chat, and I know that means New Kids on the Block. Oh, I hated New Kids on the Block.
Well, I was already an adult by that time, and so it wasn't my thing.
Yeah, I hated New Kids on the Block, and I had a friend of mine that had every one of their cassettes ever released, and she got mad at me when she goes, guess whose new cassette I just bought the other day? I went, New Fags on the Rag. She goes, not funny.
Yeah, my girls got into them, but I was too old for that.
Yeah.
And wouldn't have even if I wasn't, because that was just not my thing. I was more a headbanger in those days.
Yeah, I was more R&B and pop in my junior high and high school days. So I was listening to Boys to Men, Luther Vandross, let's see, not J Lo, and other people like that. I was way into the Miami Sound Machine, and not because I was Cuban. Before any of you pick on me about that. So yeah, I was more into the R&B and pop scene. Yeah, Huey Lewis and the News. I had two or three of their cassettes growing up. I
I
had two or
like Huey Lewis. I like Huey Lewis.
mm-hmm.
Kyler, if you look at Mob Rules as its own things, it's not and not a Sabbath song. It's a great song. Yeah, I agree. And it's not that they were so bad post Ozzy. It's just they just weren't the same. They weren't Sabbath. They
Yeah.
just weren't.
Well, just like to me, Van Halen wasn't Van Halen after Dave
Oh,
left.
absolutely not. Absolutely not. The Red Rocker, which was his nickname, was not a bad. I liked a lot of his stuff. Loved him since he was in a band called Montrose. There's one for you. I bet a few of you have heard of. But he just wasn't David Lee Roth. He just
Mm,
didn't fit Van Halen,
no.
in my opinion. Just did not fit. It just every song they did after during his period just felt like they tried to shoehorn him in, and it just wasn't Van Halen. I
It was like
I didn't.
the whole tone of the band changed because you
Yeah,
could tell they were having fun with David Lee Roth, and then here comes Hagar, and everything the tone just
yeah.
changed.
Oh, Lindsay, I love you. I love you. You're my new sweetheart because you are one of the few people that has actually mentioned my absolute, bar none, hands down favorite Black Sabbath song, and that's Megalomania. Most people haven't even heard of it,
Yeah.
but
I
that is my all time and always will be favorite Sabbath song.
Yeah. Well, it's like my dad and I, we would be, at each other's. We wouldn't butt heads to the point where we didn't get along, couldn't hang out ever. It's just that there were a lot of things that we didn't agree on until he came into my room one day and I was playing because in the mid '80s, Dire Straits had come out with a new album.
Mm-hmm.
And I fell in love with the album. I bought the album and I was playing Woohoo! We all remember, what entails from that one. And Dad comes in and he goes, "Wait, that's Dire Straits." I said, "Yeah, Dad, they're a new band." He goes, "Do I have a surprise for you?" And he went
Mm-hmm.
downstairs and came back up with two more albums. He goes, "They've been out since I was a kid here."
Did they play Sultans of Swing for you?
Yes, he did. Oh, he did.
Or that song that was played in every strip bar at the time was on their rotation. Money for Nothing.
Yeah, money for nothing, and the Sultans of Swings. Moody Blues was another one, so you had that one as well. My mom had that one. She showed me that one. Every time I had said, "Hey, there's this song that just came out," my dad was like, "No, that's not new.
Yeah,
They
cynical.
remade it."
Lindsay, Megalomania is the soundtrack to my teen years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just that sums up my teenage years. The words in it, and just leave me alone.
Yeah.
Just leave me alone. It just is. And every time I plug it in, I go back to being a 17-year-old. Every time I plug that song in, I
I was
love
like,
that song.
for me it's Dire Straits, it's Moody Blues, it's I had Purple Rain, I had that album. And the one thing I always hated about the radio edit for Money for Nothing
Hmm.
was I hated the fact that they cut out. I know it was probably because the intro was too long, but I
Yeah.
loved hearing Sting go, "I want my MTV"
Oh
before it
yeah.
really started kicking into it. I'm
Yeah.
like, you're leaving out one of the best parts of the song because you wanted your radio edit.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was that. Of course, kids today listen to that, and it doesn't mean as much to them as it did to us because back then, when Sting done that,
Oh,
MTV was really music television. They played music videos 24/7.
yeah. And I remember memorizing one particular song to the point where one of my boyfriends had turned it down in the radio, and I didn't miss a beat. And that was "Somebody's Watching Me." And it came back up, and I'm beat for beat. He goes, "Holy crap, you really do love this song." Yes, I do.
Jack Gunsky says the oldest band I listen to is Jethro Tull. Yeah, thick as a brick. Oh heck yeah.
ELO
Local,
was the first album, Kyler, that I stole from my dad's collection.
thick as a brick. Locomotive Breath. Cross-eyed Mary. Aqualung.
Mm,
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. Uh, One of the few bands, rock and roll bands with a flute, and it worked.
yes.
My God.
Hmm.
Uh, and Steely Dan. He mentioned Steely Dan's awesome. They were awesome.
Yeah.
They took and mixed rock and roll and made it a fusion with jazz, and it was
Mm,
just there was nothing like it. Yeah, I'll still go back and listen to old Steely Dan all the time. Deacon Blue and all them old songs. Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Brain Salad, Brain Surgery Salad. Yeah,
yeah. There was the Ventures. My dad introduced me to them.
Walk Don't Run.
Hmm.
Dear, 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 dear.
Yep. Chicago, the Doobies. Yeah, the Doobies, the Doobie Brothers. Before I ever knew what a Doobie was, I was listening to the Doobie Brothers. Yeah, I never smoked. I never smoked marijuana growing up, and the manager at the convenience store I used to work at laughed at me because we used to sell Philly blunts, and them things used to fly out the door like hotcakes. And I'm like, wow, this must be a really good cigar. And she just looked at me and she goes, "You don't know, do you?" I said, "I don't know what they use those for." And she explained to me what they used them for. And I said, "And you would know this how?" She goes, "Oh, I've gone to a motorcycle rally or two, but I've never partaken." I went, "Okay, Clinton."
Well, where I work, we sell that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'll be explaining it to some kid, and they're asking, "Well, can I look at that? Can I see this?" And I know pretty much what I'm talking about with it because that stuff, a lot of it hasn't changed a lot. I mean, there's things that exist today that didn't then, but for the most part. And I'm like, look, I may not have partook in 40 years, but there was a time that I've used every device like what's in this cabinet. Let's see, there was something. Oh, Jack Genesis says, I love Chicago. I've mentioned before that one of my guilty pleasures is watching music reaction channels, which is generally either black kids or just young people listening to classic rock for the first time,
Yeah.
supposedly.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's faked. I mean, a lot of it's just faked. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
But there are legitimate, that are being serious and they're legitimate. And there's a one that I watch is a couple of kids, college age kids, and they listen. I like their stuff because they really get into the classic music and they have an understanding of it when they critique it. It's not just, oh, that was awesome and that was great and everything. No, they break it down why it was great, why they
Yeah.
loved it. And they played a Chicago song. It was 25 or 6-4. Great song. And the kid, this is, man, I'm amazed. One kid, he says, because my mom was always into Chicago and I heard it all growing up. So I thought that they were just this band that done love songs. Because, in their later years, they kind of switched.
Yeah.
After,
Power ballads.
yeah, after the death of their guitarist, I forget his name, uh, died in a gun accident. Uh, but he's like, I thought it was just all love songs. And this is fantastic. And I had to crack up. But it, and it just shows if you're a kid and all you know of a band is this period of their music, you really don't know the repertoire, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 80 Chicago is kind of meh. Exactly, Jack. Exactly. But prior to that, they were awesome. A lot of songs of theirs that I love.
I can't remember his name, but he had the one hit song in Top Gun that I can't remember. It's like the song's playing in my head. I can't remember any of the lyrics, but it was the rock kind of jive song while they were flying around in the fighters.
Yeah.
I can't remember the fucking. I know somebody will come up with it as soon as
The
I said
Danger
Top
Zone.
Gun. Danger Zone. Thank
Mhm.
you, thank you. Yeah. So yeah, yeah, Def Leppard.
Oh,
No, it wasn't
Sean.
Peter Cetera.
Uh,
Yeah.
I love Copperhead Road. Are you kidding me? Of course I know that song. Copperhead Road. Because Charlie taught me a thing or two. Yeah, I love that song. Uh,
Yeah,
it was
Kenny Loggins.
Kenny Loggins. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
thanks.
It was.
Yeah.
It was right on the tip of my tongue, and then yeah.
There's a lot of good music that came out of the 60s, 70s, and a lot that came out of the 80s. It just seemed to start going downhill late 80s, early
Well,
90s.
I've argued with Randy Monkey many times because he says that he thought 80s music was better than 70s. And I said, are you kidding me? Yes,
Oh
there
no,
was good music in the 80s, but there's no way it was better than the
no,
70s.
no, no. You can't compare, and this is from somebody that was that followed, but you can't compare Bon Jovi, Cinderella, and Rat to AC/DC,
There
the
was good
Rolling
music in
Stones.
the 80s. Don't get me wrong.
There was,
Absolutely.
but you
But
can't compare one to the other. They're just
no,
too different.
ju- just look at the movies and commercials. What music are they playing on the movies and commercials?
Yeah.
70s classic rock.
Mhm.
Jack Gunsky, what is the best Pink Floyd album? Hands down, Animals. No question. I'll fight you. I'll fight you. Hands down, it's Animals. And yeah, Pat, there was some rockers in the 80s, and there was some crap in the 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. And I ran. Flock of Seagulls, please.
Yeah. Yeah, the 80s is also the era of Hey Mickey. I hated that song. I hate that song as much as I hate Yellow Submarine. I will flip the station as soon as either one comes on
Yeah.
cuz both of those songs annoy me.
Yeah. Oh, Dark Side of the Moon was a good one too. Oh, absolutely. That their whole Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here, Animals, The Wall, that whole period was just fantastic by Pink Floyd. But you asked what I thought was the best one, and it's Animals, hands down. And which is a shame because every song on it is so long that it never got any airplay, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's one of their lesser known albums.
Yeah.
But if you like Pink Floyd and you've never heard Animals, do yourself a favor, listen to it. Don't just listen to one song. Listen to it as it was intended to be, front to back.
Yep. And then, before, for those of you out there that love Tool, before there was Tool, there was Yes.
Oh yeah.
This one whole song was one whole side of an album for Yes. They had those long ones too. Carlos Santana. Oh yes, Carlos Santana, most definitely.
Yeah, I remember the Animals, and it's so long. This will give you a clue. There's only technically 4 songs on the whole album.
Yeah.
4 songs, and one of those songs is split up in 2 parts. It plays at the beginning of the album and as the very last song.
Yep.
2 parts. And so in between, there's only 3 songs. That's how long they were. And because of the length and the way that it was timed out, if you bought it on cassette, which I did, the song Pigs, 3 different ones, is split in half. Half of it's on side 1, half of it's on side 2 of the cassette. You had to flip the cassette over. Yeah, Wish You Were Here, amazing album, but my favorite is still Animals, and my favorite song off of Animals is Dogs. I think it's some of his best guitar work. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh, I meant in terms of the length of song, Cynical.
Yeah. But yeah, if you're a Floyd fan or you like Pink Floyd, you've heard some songs that you like, and you've never heard the album Animals, let me say this again. Do yourself a favor, listen to it. It's just essential Pink Floyd, but listen to it the way it's intended to, from the start of the album to the end of the album, nonstop. It is meant to be listened to as an entire album. It's actually, the album is based on the novel Animal Farm by oh yeah. Mhm.
Wells.
No, not Wells.
No, not Wells.
Same one that done the novel 1984.
Orwell.
Yeah, Orwell.
There we go.
So it's based on that book, and it tells a story. And
Yep.
each song is about a different type of person. You have dogs, you have pigs, and you have sheep. And the song that's split in two that bookends everything is "Pigs on the Wing." But just fantastic album,
Yep.
phenomenal. I turn that album. It's still yet today. I will find it on YouTube, because you can find the entire album on one video. It's out there on YouTube, and stick in my earbuds and just close my eyes and just zone for 40 plus minutes. But well, we are almost at the end of it, and as usual, we've covered a variety of subjects. I love it. I love it. I do. Rod Stewart. Oh my gosh. The girls were and the rumors were flying back when Rod Stewart really hit his highest popularity, probably when the song Hot Legs come out.
Yeah, and you guys are putting a lot of people in the chat, but you're forgetting. God, his brain, it just left my mind. I hate my ADD. Bowie, David Bowie.
Yeah, David Bowie's Bob Seger. Yeah, Grill and Pirate. I'm a huge Seger fan. Just a huge Seger fan. And they say that he sings even better now than he did when he was younger, now that he's had throat surgery. I don't know. I haven't heard any of his newer stuff yet. But anyway, and there's still a lot of great rock and whatnot names being thrown up in the chat, but we're getting at the end of it, where we've got to call an end to it. And this is the part where I say thank you to everybody for coming out and supporting the channel with your likes and your comments and your shares and everything that you do. Thank you, and I do appreciate it. Yes, do go check out Pat's latest video on his Psycho Rick channel, and just thank you to everybody. Thank you for coming on, Maddie. Anything you want to shout out?
There's my blog again, because everything is linked to it. So I figure I'll just shout it out. I do have 2 scripts in the works. One is a review of the Batwoman comic book, not television show. And the other one is my thoughts on the whispers in the wind that there's going to be another Carrie television show. Yes, Stephen King's Carrie. And the running rumor is that they're going to cast Carrie as either a person of color or a trans person.
You just can't beat Sissy Spacek. Quit trying.
Right?
You can't. But yeah, check that out. As for me, like I said, probably the only stream day I'll have next week, as far as I can tell right now, will probably be Thursday.
Okay.
Will probably be Thursday. So, but between now and then, tomorrow will be episode 24 of Redneck Trek at 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. It will premiere, and it is titled, just to give you a little hint, it is a kind of a play on words and everything, BJ's Borgus Adventure. So,
oh Lord.
So let's be sure to check that out if you're a fan, and if you haven't checked it out, do so. You might find it funny, you might laugh, and maybe you won't, and that's good too. But yeah, that'll be tomorrow. But hopefully, though, I will be back on Thursday. It's going to be a 1 stream week, it looks like, but that's subject to change. That the schedule that I seen was not finalized yet. So anyway, thanks everybody for coming out. But it is that time again. So as always, get out of my yard.